match for both of them. Ross was one of the few X12 and 3 players who still had to fight for top 8 here.
Unable to draw in due to his tiebreakers. So he'll have to get by Joshua Taylor, and if Taylor is able to win, he'll be the only 12-3-1 who's going to get in there. So, excuse me, the 12-3-1 has to play for it, because we were unclear if that would work. But for Joshua Taylor, it can. Now here is Zergo Bellstriker, the 1-mana 2/2.
And it's going to be one of those interesting situations where Ross, despite being a red aggro deck, I believe will play the control role in the matchup.
Yeah, I think so too. Wild Slash will take care of Zergo. Now for Taylor, he's got a second mountain.
So trading will help here. Remember, Ross is down 2 cards, one because he's on a mulligan and one because he's on the play. But the high impact cards he does have, things like Chandra Pyromaster, Soulfire Grandmaster, and Goblin Rabblemaster, should be more than good enough to make up that disadvantage.
Abacaro Cape revealed a Fire Drinker Satyr. Now here is a Goblin Rabblemaster.
Pressure will be on Joshua to have an answer to Rabblemaster.
Rabblemaster is a very good card in the red mirrors. It's going to bring a token along with it. And then pass the turn back. Now, a card that Rabblemaster is not very good against, which was very popular this weekend, is Hangerback Walker. But if you didn't play against Hangerback Walker decks, Rabblemaster is probably pretty good, actually.
Yeah, when you think about the way that these mono-red aura style decks are going, Titan Strengths, Hammer Hands, Coordinated Assaults, they are cutting removal. You know, there's no Lightning Strikes. He has 4 Wild Slashes, and those will be excellent at taking care of Rabblemaster. But otherwise, we're looking at Exquisite Firecraft, Stoke the Flames, really clunky answers to something like Rabblemaster.
See if Taylor does have removal as well. He does in Wild Slash. Got to get that thing off the table. Will trigger prowess on the Abbot.
Perfect answer for Rabblemaster.
Yeah.
Especially if Joshua can Wild Slash and follow up with a threat, that will be the best of both worlds for him.
There's an attack for 3. And he'll just pass the turn back over to Chodan.
All right, so despite the fact he had an efficient answer, it still cost him his entire turn. So in that regard, not much different than something like Exquisite Firecraft.
Here's a Chandra.
This is brutal.
Yeah, this card is insane in red mirror. So he says 1 there and 1 to you.
So not only does it get to kill a creature and stick around, but 5 loyalty is so much. This will get it's going to get 1 card already, and it'll probably take 2 more cards from Joshua's hand to just get Chandra off the table. She's at least a 3 for 1 if he's able to answer her at all.
Yeah. This is going to be tough for Taylor. I mean, this is a matchup nightmare. This is really, really bad news.
I mean, yeah, they're playing the same aggressive start, but Ross has these late game cards, these Chandras and Soulfire Grandmasters that will do a number on the mono red deck.
See how Taylor can try to work himself back into this one.
Well, the danger is a lot of Taylor's cards, Titan Strength, Coordinated Assault, they are powerful, and Ross may have trouble trading with them, but they're only good when Joshua's ahead on the damage ratio. The issue here is that if Joshua starts putting Hammer Hands on his creatures, it's not necessarily true that Ross will win the race, that Joshua will win the race if Ross just ignores it and attacks.
Yeah. Here is a Hammer Hand. It'll bring a token along with it.
And using Hammer Hand here, I mean, there's not even a blocker to remove, but he's using it so that a Crone Crusader gets out of range of Chandra. It's not a pretty thing, but it's possible.
Effective-ish.
Yeah, Hammer Hand decent. It gets some extra damage here.
We can't forget it gives the creature haste too. So there's actually a lot of text in this card. It enters the battlefield, target creature can't block. You give a creature +1/+1 to get it out of Chandra range, and your creature gets haste. So all positives there.
Chandra down to 2. This might mean that Ross will have to plus the Chandra, but once again, you go back. If Ross has a kill spell for the Crusader, plus a Chandra to kill the token, I mean, we're just right back to where we were before, but Josh is down 2 cards.
And I think Ross actually does have that kill spell. There's Wild Slash.
Does he have a Titan Strength to save the Crusader? No, he does not.
Chandra's going to tick up, take care of the token, deal damage to you, and now come across in the red zone with the Goblin token.
And Pyromaster is just a pain for this red deck. Look at the work it's doing.
I mean, all of these exchanges have favored Ross. Josh had like a nice-ish turn last turn, but nothing to write home about. Chandra's been running wild. Now here's Heel Master. Heel Cutter, excuse me.
Yeah, and this might be something to punish Ross. I believe last turn he had the choice between Wild Slash and Chain to the Rocks to take care of the Crusader, and it might be because he chose Wild Slash. Now he doesn't have an instant to remove Heel Cutter, and he's going to lose his Planeswalker for it.
There's a Fire Drink Crusader. That's the follow-up past the turn back. That card's not particularly good in red mirrors, but it's what Taylor's got to work with.
And that's actually, let's go back here. If Ross has that white kill spell, that is a big coup for Josh to get that Pyre Master off the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see Chain of the Rocks in his hand. So some great sequencing by Joshua. Maybe a misassignment of some kill spells. Heel Cutter, from what I've been talking with players about mono red, has continued to overperform in the current meta, especially when looking at hanger back walkers.
The first one is very good. Now, the question is how many do you play in your deck? Because drawing multiple copies is not particularly good, but if you could always guarantee that you could draw one, I would always play one. But I don't ever want to have two of those things in my hand.
Yeah. It is Red's best answer to the hanger back walker.
Yeah, it's very, very good against that. Siege Rhino, too. Just, big, annoying cards. It's very, very good against. And heck, it's even good against, master removal spells, too. So it's got a lot of flexibility for Red. You just don't want to draw too many of them.
Life total still pretty even here. Ross slightly ahead by 17-14. Passes back, though, not willing to play Chain to the Rocks on Fire Drink Crusader.
Yeah, one thing it feels like Ross is doing right now is he's really overvaluing Chain to the Rocks. One thing that he has to keep in mind playing against mono red aggro, all the creatures kind of stink.
Yeah, it's where Chain to the Rocks is great is not that it's a universal removal spell, though it is. What its power is that it's a 1-mana removal spell, so you just get to do it.
The ability to play 2 spells in 1 turn. That's why, cards that make you pay life, like Ataxian Probe and things like that, getting to play multiple spells in a turn, that's where you want to be at when you're playing Magic. Chain of the Rocks allows you to do that. You have to pay a cost, of course, of having a mountain, but...
Yeah, and I'm not sure what he's saving it for. It's not... I don't think Josh was ever going to just cast this Heel Cutter.
Here's a Magma Jet to take care of the Fire Drink Crusader.
Wow, still not going after the Heel Cutter.
A little surprising.
But the Scry 2 is going to be excellent for Ross.
Absolutely.
But there's some danger, right? If he scries into, say, another Chandra, he'll have definitely wished that he Magma Jetted the Heel Cutter.
Little Scry 2 action here.
Wild Slash among the two.
Yep.
If he just wants to trade, that card will do a great job here.
And Wild Slash is always a nice card in the red mirror. Cheap, efficient, instant speed.
So it's interesting. In the red mirror, you normally say Wild Slash is in normal matchups, Wild Slash is the bad removal, Chain to the Rocks is the good removal. In the red mirror, does that switch?
I'd rather have Wild Slash than Chain of the Rocks.
Well, they both kill anything, and one's an instant, right?
Yeah. Heel Cutter will hit for 3.
Joshua goes down to 12. He takes 2 off that damage being dealt to the Satyr. He'll just pass back. No attacks with the token. So that doesn't make sense. Joshua has a Heel Cutter. It's not like you can say, I'm going to block with this. The Heel Cutter doesn't let that happen.
Very strange and quick no attack there by Ross.
Perhaps if he wants to be able to play... I'll go on a limb here. If he has Stoke the Flames and Wild Slash, he'll need the token back if he wants to cast them both.
Yep. That's the only thing that makes logical sense.
Right. Yeah, that said, and I understand him wanting to be able to cast Wild Slash and Stoke the Flames at the same time. In a red mirror, okay, so not playing Stoke the Flames this turn and only playing Wild Slash is very inefficient for your mana, right? You'd end up losing 3 mana.
Yep.
So I understand wanting to use all your mana in a turn, but in a red mirror, oftentimes it's not about efficiency of mana, it's just about how much damage can I get in. So yeah, to deal 1 extra damage, am I wasting 3 mana? Yes, you probably are, but it's 1 damage that you otherwise wouldn't have, and that may just be worth it.
These players do have a judge call here. A little bit of a question. So we will come back to the booth for just a moment and kind of analyze the deck list that these 2 players do have. Joshua Taylor, as we did mention, he's got this different mono red deck that he is playing, with Titan Strength, with Coordinated Assault. There's a trade-off here where the version that we saw at the Pro Tour, and Team Ultra Pro had a really successful tournament with that. We saw a lot of burn spells, like a lot of burn spells. 4 Explosive Firecraft, 4 Stoke the Flames, 4 Wild Slash, Lightning Strike, Searing Blood, which was a big deal for them that weekend. Some creatures and then 20 lands versus this Titan Strength, Coordinated Assault, Hammerhand build. How do you feel about these auras and these pump effects in this deck?
Well, I really like them in a field of obs on aggro. The issue against Face Main Lang is that your creatures are slightly smaller. You can just be outclassed while the player beats you down. When you have hammer hands, when you have coordinated assaults, it's very hard for them to block you. So I like it in creature mirrors. I think they're pretty reasonable against something like Devotion. Now, once we start getting to decks like Esper Dragons, Bioblight decks, I really don't like these cards. I don't want to play an Aura against a deck that doesn't play creatures and is overloading on kill spells. But we kind of talked about the theme this weekend, that there's not much Esper Dragons around. So this seems like a good call for a red deck to me.
Yeah, we didn't expect much blue-black control or Esper Dragons this weekend, or just heavy removal decks like that, and for the most part, that's been accurate. We have not seen very much. I know we saw Reed Duke playing blue-black control this weekend, but outside of him, not very many people playing that sort of strategy. So it does make some sense that if you're looking to try to beat Hangerback Walker, to try to go to these unique effects that we don't see very often.
Yeah, so we talk about why Joshua Taylor would want to pick out this deck. I mean, red is great. Red is still powerful. Going the Aura heavy build, I think he's going to gain a lot of advantage in, like I said, his Devotion matchups, his Obzon matchups. Where he's going to pay a price is against other red decks. So any deck playing Wild Slash, so mono red, he'll pay a price against. And I think the big one is Jeskai, which was popular this weekend.
Yep.
I think he's lost a lot of his points in that matchup by playing these Aura-style cards.
Yeah, you don't have enough answers really to a card like Mantis Rider then. You're a lot shorter on answers to a card like Soulfire Grandmaster and Seeker of the Way, because the build that we saw at the Pro Tour, when you have Searing Bloods and Lightning Strikes, we don't care about those creatures.
Grandmasters and Seekers won't survive.
Yeah, those are dying immediately. Yeah. So.
And not to mention Jeskai, despite having, Jeskai has an issue where its cards sometimes are not standalone powerful, but Jeskai has excellent removal. So playing Auras and Tricks into it can be problematic because their removal is so cheap. They have Wild Slashes, Valorous Stances, that sort of thing. They can Lightning Strike. They can afford to leave up mana while developing their board. They can strand a card like Titan Strength.
Now, how do we feel about this red-white deck that Ross Chodan is playing? Because we haven't seen a ton of that particular deck, and I would say in a little while. Red-white got really popular with Outpost Siege, but this isn't even exactly that build. This is a different deck.
Right. So when you talk about red-white, I think of the Seeker of the Way, Brimaz, Outpost Siege, Rabblemaster style deck. This deck to me is pulling in too many different ways.
Okay.
So he's got Rabblemaster, Seeker, Soulfire, Chandra, Sarkhan. I'm on board. I like it. But then you put 4 Monastery Swift Spear in the deck. And I guess that's the card I really don't understand here. I'd much more want to see that alongside Hordling Outbursts, Dragon Fodders, anything like that. I think if I were to play this, I'd rather Ross go more mid-range. Maybe not play Swift Spears, play additional Seeker of the Ways. Maybe play some quality 3-drops.
Fair enough. Well, the judge call has been resolved, so we head back down to the match. Play will resume. You see the live totals here. Ross Chodan at 14, Joshua Taylor at 12. And we know that Taylor has a copy of Goblin Heel Cutter.
Yeah, I think to that effect, if you're not going to play cards like Brimaz, my question would be, why are we not just going full Jeskai with this deck?
Sure. Why are we just 2 colors?
Yeah.
Sure. There's a Heel Cutter.
We know about this. Bringing you back on the game, last turn, Ross used Magma Jet to scry a Wild Slash to the top of his deck. So he's going to use that now.
The follow-up is Necron Crusader.
And now we're in that top deck war that oftentimes happens in red mirrors. Suddenly cards like Goblin Rabblemaster become really important. Ross has a lot more good draws here. His removal are things like Magma Jets that scry him. He has Temples. He has better finishers. He's a heavy favorite in a top deck war, but he can lose it.
Looks like he's going to finally pull the trigger on this Chain to the Rocks.
Yeah, and after all the maneuvering we did and all the things they didn't want to cast Chain to the Rocks on, eventually, and I think this is what you were alluding to, is that when you said Red's creatures are all kind of small. I mean, we saved a Chain to the Rocks, and eventually we got an Necron Crusader for it. That's not really better than anything we passed on.
No, and that he probably took some unnecessary damage along the way. Again, when you're playing against mono red, the creatures, for the most part, are pretty bad. So,
but that said, Ross is ahead. He hits for 1. We go back to Joshua. His hand is a 6th Mountain and a Stoke the Flames.
Chodan will draw. Remember, he kept this card on top of his deck. Now he's tapping 5 mana very quickly, so I think we know what this is.
Yeah, Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker. This is a 3-of in his deck. This is a card that there are very few answers to in Joshua's deck. He has 4 damage and Stoke the Flames, but that's not enough to deal with Sarkhan. Ross can hang on to priority and plus it.
Haven't seen this Planeswalker for a little while. I'm actually a little bit surprised on not seeing this card see more play. I mean, it's all upside, or at least it appears that way.
Yeah, I think it has been pushed out by Storm Breath Dragon, but if you want a 4/4 flying haste, a lot of people have gone to that, and that's because Obzon has been so powerful in the format. That said, Sarkhan's a very reasonable Magic card.
So we're going to take a look at Sarkhan. You see the first ability. In Zone to turn, Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker becomes a legendary 4/4 red dragon creature with flying, indestructible, and haste. And he doesn't lose loyalty while he's not a planeswalker. So the timing of this Stoke the Flames, I do not believe is particularly good, because he can't lose loyalty while he's not a planeswalker. So he's currently not a planeswalker. He's a creature.
Yeah, it actually says on the card there, he does not, yeah, and this is a complicated interaction.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say on the plus ability he is still a planeswalker. So this Stoke, I do not believe can be redirected to Sarkhan.
And if you target Sarkhan,
that means you're targeting the creature.
correct.
If you want to attack shoot a burn spell at a planeswalker, there's two ways you can announce it. You can either say, I will burn your planeswalker, or you can say, I will target you and redirect to your planeswalker. Now, you can target Sarkhan, that's legal. It's just you're targeting an indestructible creature with a burn spell.
Yep.
You can also target Ross with it. But then when you say I redirect it, well, that doesn't work because Ross doesn't have a planeswalker.
Correct, he has a creature.
Right. So this isn't going to work for Joshua either way. Now, an expensive lesson, sure. I don't know if this is a game that Joshua has much of a chance of winning anyway.
Sure.
So,
It's definitely an expensive lesson.
yeah.
You're right about that.
I don't think he cost himself a game with this.
I don't think he did either. I think he's in a really bad spot as it stands. That Stoke the Flames doesn't line up very well against Sarkhan anyway. Now, maybe if he drew another burn spell, he'd be able to use that plus the Stoke to kill the Sarkhan on his own turn. But again, he's still not in a great spot.
Getting an explanation from the table judge here. And this is a pretty complicated interaction. Not many cards actually work this way.
Especially when we don't see Sarkhan very much, and we don't.
Exactly. So it looks like Josh will take the hit for 5, down to 6. Even if you put another Stoke the Flames in his hand, he is probably dead.
Yeah, he's not in a great spot, no matter how you slice it.
Looks like the ruling was that Stoke the Flames targeted Sarkhan the creature.
Yep.
So the indestructible creature had 4 damage on it.
Up to 6, and into the red zone we go.
Put him to 1. Looks like Ross drew Stoke the Flames, and that'll seal it up.
Ross Chodan's going to win game number 1 here over Joshua Taylor. Red-white aggro is up a game over mono-red aggro. It's going to be a pretty hard match, I think, for Josh Taylor to win, given the construction of his deck. But we will take a look at the sideboard. And what you're going to find here are 2 Smash Smithereens, 4 Eidolon of the Great Revel, 3 Searing Blaze, and then 2 copies of Magma Spray. And then 4 copies of Roast. So, excuse me, yeah, Searing Blood, not Searing Blaze. My apologies there. But is there anything that we do like here for his sideboard?
All right, so let's assume that Joshua's going to sideboard against the deck that he thinks Ross is playing as opposed to the deck that Ross is actually playing. I don't think the 12-creature Monastery Swiftspear deck is something that Josh was expecting. So based on that, I would believe that Joshua will go, first of all, toward Eidolon of the Great Revel. Seems pretty reasonable here. Also, 3 Searing Bloods seem pretty good against Ross's creatures. Now, you'd expect Seekers and Soulfire Grandmasters. So I would think he'd use all 7 of those here.
Well, he does have Seekers, he does have Soulfire Grandmasters, and he saw Rebel Master.
Josh hasn't the legal deck list. What do we... Okay.
On the other side of things here, for Ross Chodan, he can actually go real big. 3 Elspeths, 3 Valor Stance, 2 Unhostilities, 3 Anger of the Gods, 2 Erase, 2 Deflecting Palms.
So when I look at Ross' list, I just keep thinking, I don't think Ross wanted to lose to Mono Red this weekend. Not only does he have a deck that's really well set up for the mirror, but 3 Anger of the Gods should be exceptional here, and 2 Deflecting Palms in his sideboard. You don't see that card much, but it's going to be excellent against anyone who's trying to point a burn spell at your face.
Yeah, this deck, I think you really just put it best. He does not want to lose to Mono Red.
Yeah, he has a deck with a great game 1, that then he put 2 cards on the sideboard that are only good in this matchup.
Yeah, that is really telling. I mean, he can go all the way up to Elspeth if he wants to. I don't think it's necessary, but you know, he's got a lot of really good options here. Anger of the Gods, Deflecting Palm to really slow Taylor down, and there's not a lot Taylor can do about it. One thing about Mono Red, it doesn't really generate very much card advantage outside of Abbott.
Yeah, I do think I actually like some of the Elspeths in that I would prefer it to Sarkhan as the Planeswalker I want to win the game with.
Okay.
But I don't know if he needs to do that. Like,
yeah,
it's a home run plan where sometimes when you prepare for a tournament, Traditionally, people will sideboard toward their weaker matchups. Say, okay, where do I need extra cards to make my matchups acceptable? Now, another way to approach it is to say, okay, can I hit a home run? Can I take my good matchup and then just lights out them in the sideboard? How many spots would it take? And yeah, this plan looks something like that. For Joshua Taylor, he could not have hit this matchup at a worse time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Winning 2 sideboard games against the deck that Ross is going to present will be tough.
Well, as these players shuffle up and get ready here for game number 2, we will very quickly talk about the Star City Games YouTube page where you can watch the replay of this match along with other Open Series archives, the Versus Series on Star City Games, the premium Magic Online videos, and then specialty content on YouTube, including unboxings with Evan Irwin, Chris Van Meter, Brian Braun-Duin, and a bevy of other characters from Star City Games. YouTube.com/Star City Games video for more information. Most importantly, it is free to subscribe. Be one of over 60,000 that subscribe to youtube.com/Star City Games video. Time to get ready here for game number 2 between Chodan and Taylor. And again, I'm with you. I think that Chodan is a heavy favorite here. Now, stranger things have happened. Mono Red can beat anyone and anything with the right draw. But I think on average, Ross is pretty heavily favored here. And we'll see if it plays out that way.
Absolutely.
Josh going to take a mulligan, it looks like, very, very quickly.
Yeah, remember that last game, Ross was on the play. He mulliganed, so he was already down 2 cards. He, I think, had a misstep that gave away a Chandra.
Yep.
And still was never in danger of losing.
No, at any point, not at any point did I think he was going to lose that game.
So
not at all.
Now we go the other way, where Joshua is down 2 cards. And what sort of perfect storm is going to have to happen for Joshua to get this?
Probably 4 lands, all spells. Maybe 3 lands, all spells. If I'm being honest.
I think what he has to hope for is that Joshua has a reasonable draw and that Ross has kept some sort of high risk, high reward hand.
Yeah.
Say, for example, a double Soulfire Grandmaster 1 land. Something I'd keep against mono red. It's so good. And then just doesn't hit the second land.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I really do think that that's what it's going to take for Taylor's, is something very beneficial to go his way. Let's put it that way. Because 60 cards to 60 cards, no thank you.
Yeah, it's tough. As long as Ross's hand is a good mix of lands and spells, he should be able to carry the game.
But that's why you don't play matches on paper.
Absolutely.
You actually play the games, shuffle the cards, and cast the spells. So we're going to have to let these 2 players do it, even though Joshua's going to be working with less than he would like.
Well, hopefully he can keep on 6. Mono red does have a lot of explosive openings. There is not too much interaction early game on Ross's side, though he's got so much good cleanup. I don't know, he has 4, it's not even true. He has 4 slashes, 4 chain to the rocks, 4 lightning strikes, 3 magma jets. Post-board, he gets Anger of the Gods. He has a great way to deal with little creatures. And Joshua not happy with his 6. Might have to keep it anyway.
Don't know if you can go to 5 in this matchup. Ross is already able to make 2-for-1s pretty easily with Anger of the Gods, Chandra.
I mean, it's more the perfect storm situation, right? If your game plan already focuses around Ross having a bad hand of some sort, then you need to keep something that punishes it. If your hand is slow and doesn't have any sort of pressure, then what do you beat?
Yeah.
So, sure, if you don't beat a bad draw from Ross, you're just going to have to ship it and try to find a hand that does.
Taylor going to mulligan down to 5. He's going to have to find a perfect 5 now. And for Ross Chodan, he was not able to draw into the top 8, but he's got to be pretty thrilled with how things are breaking right now. Great matchup. Opponent mulligan to 5 on the play. You've kept your 7 cards. As long as you said, it's a mix of lands and spells.
As long as he can cast them, he should be good.
Yeah, you're probably on your way to the top 8 tomorrow, my friend.
6 players already into the top 8. Eric Smith, Gerard Fabiano, Jeffrey Bravestein, Matthew Long, Steve Mann, and Gabriel Schwachkin. This match is for spot number 7, the 8th spot. We had Edward Eng on camera last round, winning off a timely Siege Rhino over Ben Friedman. He's playing for the final spot, down a game though.
Gonna need some more magical Siege Rhino peels.
That was really something. Oh man.
That was something last round. You are not wrong. Completely forgot that he could actually peel Siege Rhino for the win. Taylor's going to keep his 5. Let's start off with a Swift Spear.
And that's what I like actually in this draw. Okay, maybe his hand has nothing else good in it, but land Swift Spear at least means that if Ross has nothing, Josh gets to win. Now the downside is, like I said, lands plus spells, Josh was just going to die too.
Yep.
So Wild Slash took care of the first creature. Maybe Josh has a second one.
Well, there's the second one.
And now it puts, he's at least putting Ross to the test of, can you kill 2 things on curve?
There's a Plains. And just past the turn back, Taylor will draw.
All right, so the second one's stuck, at least for now. You know, Ross didn't just magma jet it or something.
Here's Abbot of Carol Keep, Trigger, Titan Strength.
Does he have the land in hand? He
Yep.
does.
The thing is, if you're Josh, your hand is
Just go
forced.
for it.
You just have to cast it, right? You're on a mulligan of 5.
Oh, I
you
mean-
need the scry, too.
I mean, it's not, you don't get it next turn.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And if this works, so it's 1, adds up to 4, 5 off prowess.
Yeah.
Sure, here's some damage. Let's scry.
You have basically no choice.
This was the perfect 5-card hand for Josh.
It's actually pretty close. You got to draw a card off your Abbot.
Yep.
The card was useful. You get the scry, get to deal more damage, pass the turn back.
Yeah, you had 2 Swift Spears. You are making Ross have something. You're making him earn it.
Ross has double Plains, and his red Source of Mana deals some damage. Now here's a Rabble Master.
My first thought was, oh gosh, if this is, okay, it doesn't have double red, so at least it's not Anger of the Gods.
Yeah,
But
I mean, if it's Anger of the Gods, it's lights out.
yeah, the game's over. There's a lot of things that make the game over.
Yep. Goblin Token in. Rabble Master hanging back, of course. Pass the turn back.
He's got Ross at 11. And this might be one of those situations where Josh was on the plan of racing Goblin Rabble Master, which, yeah, I know, that's not, but it's a plan. It could work.
Well, hey, having a plan is more important than not having a plan. Now, Taylor's last card before he drew was a Stoke the Flames.
All right. Yeah, so first of all, you know, if his plan is to sit back and let both players play some spells, play out their hand, I mean, that one's not going to work. So 11 to go, 9 down.
Here
And
comes Swift Spear.
it's just Swift Spear. I don't know. I wonder if Josh has to offer that trade. We'll see. Oh, better though. He's going to go ahead and cast, looks like Stoke the Flames.
Okay.
And this was, okay, this was great. He attacked with only Swift Spear. It looks like Ross said no blocks, and Josh said, okay, stoke your face. Not through your Rabble Master. I love it.
Forget the Rabble Master, man.
We're racing Rabble Master. That's 6 more damage. Ross is at 5. There's a chance.
Yeah. Because if Ross wants to cast another red spell, perhaps he goes down to 4 because
And
it's
you
a
can't-
battlefield forge.
And 4, and now we have some top decks to win the game.
We're talking Stoke the Flames, we're talking Exquisite Firecraft, we're talking ways to get out of this mess.
Wow, well played, Joshua Taylor. If he pulls this one out.
He's giving himself the best chance to win. That's
Yeah.
all you can do. Stoke the Flames right now in Chodan's hand.
Sarkhan, Stoke. I am very surprised to see Stoke the Flames still in the deck after sideboard. As we kind of noticed, all of Joshua's creatures die to 2 damage, so I don't think I want a bigger removal spell. I would just as soon board that one out.
Time to Stoke.
Stoking away the Swiss Spear, he's convoking using the Goblin tokens, leaving Rabble Master. Now back to block the 2/1.
Yep.
Cleverly using his Goblin tokens as red mana and not using the Battlefield Forge. That seems very important here. But can Joshua burn his way to victory? I don't know if any more creatures are dealing damage. Abbott will attack. Joshua trades it for the Rabble Master, and then Exquisite Firecrafts at Ross. So he played the attack saying, okay, well, if Ross doesn't block, I win. He blocks. All right, I'll put him to 1. Let's see if I can top deck the victory. Ross Chodan down to 1. There's a lot of turns here for Joshua to top deck the burn spells, and Ross not gonna attack. He's gonna hold back blockers.
Okay. There's our Crone Crusader.
Go. Oh gosh, that's not gonna get to live. Here's Stoke the Flames at the 1/1.
Yep.
That's why Ross held back the goblins.
Okay, at least there's a red source that
We can use.
yeah, that he can use. Top card goes to the bottom from Temple of Triumph.
Does he have another Stoke? He's holding back both goblins. I understand holding back one in case of Monastery Swift Spear.
Where's
But
the
Wild Slash to the face.
All right.
We're on to 3.
Let's
Joshua
play a third
Taylor.
one. Unbelievable. Win that game on a mulligan to 5. Joshua Taylor in this matchup wins on a mulligan to 5. And now we're getting ready for a third game. Okay.
Joshua Taylor pulls it even here. That was a mult to 5 on the play against a terrible matchup. You gotta give it to Joshua Taylor. He's giving himself the best chance he can to win.
Yeah, again, that's really all you can hope for in this situation is just, I gotta hope for the best. I don't really have much of a choice. Especially in that game when you mulligan to 5. And you know what? Given the way that game played out, you know, I think a lot of people would have kept a 6-card hand thinking I can't mulligan to 5 and possibly win. But you can just get a perfect 5-card hand.
You have to look at it a different way. It's not, I can't afford to mulligan to 5. It's if this 6-card hand can't win, then it can't win. And you just have to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants to mulligan to 5, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
And 2 Swift Spears Abbott. That's pretty great 5. For Ross's side, he may re-sideboard. There are some things in there that seem, you know, I'm still not sure that those Stoke the Flames certainly didn't help him out there. They gave him, I suppose there are things he could cast when he was short on red.
Yeah, but I mean, they didn't. But how much did they really help? You know, that's the question.
Yeah, they parried.
It let him play a few more turns, but I'm not convinced it actually helped him in that particular game.
And Joshua's draw seized advantage on the awkwardnesses in Ross's hand. The awkwardness was that Ross had 1 red source and it was Battlefield Forge.
Yep. Well, these players will shuffle up here for game number 3. Ross Chodan will be on the play. We'll very quickly talk about the Summer Creature Collection here with Star City Games. Playmat sleeves and bundles of the Piglet, the Monkey, the Kraken, and the Deathrite Salmon. StarCityGames.com/Creature Collection for more information about the Playmats, sleeves, and bundles for our 2015 Summer Collection.
Available online and at the dealer booth at any of our Star City Opens.
Yeah. Now we get ready for game 3. It'll be our last game of coverage today. We're coming back bright and early for you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m., so make sure you are ready for that, where we'll do player interviews and get ready for our top 8 and eventually crown a champion here. Someone's walking out of here with $10,000, 35 Open Series points, their likeness on a card, an invite to our our Players Championship. Could be one of these 2 players. Whoever wins this match, they'll be playing elimination rounds tomorrow. Red-white aggro here from Ross Chodan. Wonder how many times we played against Mono Red this week and other favorable matchups. It's been a long time since we've seen this deck.
Yeah.
And that deck was a stone cold killer when it was good, you know, like 2 standards ago.
Yeah, when it was good in the meta, it was great. It was around the time of Grand Prix, I believe it was Denver. You had a lot of players writing about it. Sam Pardee top 4ing a Grand Prix with it.
Sam Black, one of the first ones to put it on the map. Just a heck of a deck. Outpost Siege really demonstrated its power, but you know, metagames are cyclical, as they say, and when's the last time you saw an Outpost Siege get cast?
Boy, it has been a while.
I can't even remember the last time I saw it cast. Jeez. That card was
It's interesting. It's
tough.
not because the card isn't good. It just
No, of course.
doesn't have a home right now.
Yeah, I could say that for many sieges. I think those cards are good. You ever play against Citadel Siege in Limited?
Oh, that one's dumb.
Yeah.
Palace Siege is good too in Limited.
Yeah.
That's,
Those cards seem like they're right on the fringe of constructed playability. Monastery Siege, Frontier Siege, both those cards are pretty good.
yeah, we've seen some Monastery Siege in the blue-red mill deck.
Yep. I'm hoping that deck resurfaces.
We saw some of it at the Invitational here, walking through the tables. I think its Obzon aggro matchup leaves something to be desired.
I can't imagine that one's too good. And it's Dramoka's command matchup. Not saying it can't beat Dramoka's command, but Dramoka's command with pressure, that's tough.
Right.
That's what Obzon aggro does best. Well, both these players are getting ready here for game number 3. Again, our last game of coverage here before we come back tomorrow for our elimination rounds and work ourselves towards a champion. Chodan will be on the play. Looks like he's going to keep pretty quickly.
Maybe we'll get a 7-on-7. Both games, the person on the play has mulliganed and won. This time, though, full grips for each.
Temple of Triumph is where Chodan's going to start. He will scry. Top card's going to stay on top. We head Taylor's way.
I think that's the danger here from Joshua's side, is that if both players have good draws, Ross is a favorite. You know, Josh needs to capitalize on something that Ross's deck doesn't do well.
You want to know how difficult this matchup is for Joshua Taylor? He's got to keep Fire Drinker Satyr in against a red deck. That got magma jetted. Chodan gets to scry twice. And Taylor goes down to 18 anyway.
I mean, and it's funny because at this point you're saying, well, at least it wasn't a Soulfire Grandmaster.
I guess.
I mean, if that guy wasn't playing, this would be gaining too, and it would just be even more miserable.
Yeah. Boy, I'm not feeling good if I'm Josh about that start to this third game with top 8 on the line.
No, I mean, if Ross's deck performs, you know, removal spell into removal spell into Chandra, there's little Josh can do against it.
Yeah. Josh will just pass the turn back after playing a mountain. There's a mountain here for Chodan. Now here's a Goblin Rabble Master. We'll see if this will live.
No.
Find that to be rather unlikely against a red deck with open mana. There's a Searing Blood. Chodan will take 3. He'll go down to 17. Taylor will draw.
Yeah, good parry there by Joshua. Needs to make sure he answers those, especially when he doesn't have pressure. No creatures on Joshua's side. Well, that's one way to get around Wild Slashes.
No creatures on Chodan's side either. He'll just play a mountain and pass the turn back.
I mean, if both players are just on all spell hands, this is a much more fair fight than if Joshua's trying to win with creatures. If he just has, you know, say a group of 3 Stoke the Flames, as dorky as that sounds, that hand can win.
Now we're just playing draw go. There's a Battlefield Forge.
If they're playing, I mean, there's some danger, right? Ross at some point could
okay, well,
could play a Planeswalker, or he could just, if Josh wants to go on the burnout plan, so Josh end steps the Stoke the Flames and Rosh will deflecting palm it back.
Well, fair enough. You take 4, Josh.
Well, that's going to make the burnout plan harder.
Yeah. There's an Abbot, Trigger.
What will it show us? Stoke. If he
Flames.
has a land, he can cast it.
He does, and he's casting it. Another deflecting palm, perhaps?
Yeah. We know there's more than one.
Yeah. Chodan got to go down to 13. Not going to cast Wild Slash just yet.
Hey, things are even right now. And there's another inconsistency that Josh can capitalize on. It's that Ross is flooding out here.
Yeah, he's flooding out bad.
Now, keep in mind, Ross has cards like Elspeth Sun's Champion that he could top deck and win with.
Soulfire Grandmaster, too.
Yeah, he has enough mana where if he has that and Joshua doesn't kill it, it's lights out.
There's a Plains, pass the turn back.
Land 7. This is, I suspect Joshua has land 6 and 7 as well.
It's a strange game.
Yeah, but this game of let's try to draw burn spells at each other, this is a fair fight.
Yeah. Chain of the Rocks, the draw.
God, like I said, Josh can win this. It's horrible. I mean, goodness, neither of these decks are performing well at all, but it may be enough. Heel Cutter.
Oh, spell.
Yeah, and he cannot be chained to the rocks. Now, if you're Joshua, your confidence that this guy will live has got to be really low.
It's pretty low.
I was even gonna try to put an aura on it. Oh, I hope we're not hammer-handing this or something. No, or like Titan strengthening it. Yeah, he'll swing. 3-2. I suppose if Ross goes for a kill spell and it's Wild Slash, Titan Strength could be used here.
Titan Strength's good then. All right, 3 damage gonna beat out. Chodan's down to 10.
Josh is ahead, as unexpected as that is.
That's a mountain. And Heel Cutter's coming back. All right, that's Taylor's entire turn. I think another Chain of the Rocks was just drawn. Yep.
Land 8 for Chodan.
I keep doing that dash Heel Cutter thing.
If it worked once, why stop?
Yeah. Prove to me it won't work again. All right, Monastery Swiftspear.
And dashed Heel Cutter. They're going to come in together. Here's some haste threats. Let's get around that Chain of the Rocks.
Attack you for 4. Try to put you to 6. That's good.
Ross down to 6. And it seems likely that Joshua has lethal burn here. Exquisite Firecraft is in his grip.
Yep, I think there's a Searing Blood over there too.
And Joshua Taylor may have pulled off the upset he needs. This is great.
This would be a miracle victory. Take a look at 75 cards to 75 cards. This match was horrible for Joshua Taylor.
Well, if it's 75 cards against a stack of lands, Joshua's got a shot.
Yeah.
Not to mention, he had a Stoke the Flames deflecting palms back at his face this game.
Looks like players are counting up just to make sure they have life totals correct.
It's for the final spot in top 8. Alex Bestecki defeating Edward Eng for the spot in our other match.
Congratulations to him. He'll be playing tomorrow. Heel cutter is back in grip from the dash. Chodan. Temple. Top card. Staying on top. There's a chain to the rocks.
And I don't know if he'll ever get to see that card.
I don't think he's gonna. Taylor will untap. He'll take a draw step. That's a mountain. He's moving real fast now. Here comes heel cutter. In. Down to 3. And now a lethal, exquisite firecraft, and that is going to do it. Joshua Taylor is going to win this match over Ross Chodan, 2-1. Mono Red Aggro with an upset victory here over Red White Aggro. And for Joshua Taylor, he is into the elimination rounds.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a sweat. He's got a pretty good break.